Good afternoon. This is Rich Nass, Executive Vice President with Open Systems Media, and I'm here for this week's installment of 5 Minutes With. This week, I'll be talking to Matt Schweiger, who is the Vice President of Customer Success at Altium. Hello, Matt.
Hey, hi, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing just great. Okay, so before we get started on this interview, you are the Vice President of Customer Success. I assume you don't have a counterpart who's the Vice President of Customer Failure?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's an interesting title, Rich. I know a lot of companies, particularly in the software industry, around SaaS-based software, look at customer success in different ways. Altium, customer success, we see customer retention and loyalty as a driving factor of our success, and that is one of the elements of my role here at Altium.
How do you define success?
Well, first of all, we really look at how customers use the software, and in terms of are they getting value from our software tools, and also are they staying with us? So are they using the software continually? Are they what we call updating to the newer versions of the software? If they're updating to the newer versions, then naturally they're seeing value in what we do. And I think that's one of our core strengths, is that we listen to our customers continually. We provide a lot of updates to our software, and we believe that the value we're providing is what they're asking for.
Very good. So you've had lots of jobs in your tenure at Altium. Now that you're in charge of success, you've probably seen a lot of customer challenges along the way. What are some of the hurdles people have to get through today? I mean, what are the biggies that you have to help people with?
Yes, it's a really good question, Rich, because the fact that, I suppose spanning the history of Altium over 30 years, we've seen a lot of different, progressive changes in the industry. Obviously notable, the first one was that when Altium, or Protel back then, basically brought electronic design process to the PC, or to basically the mass market back then. And that was an interesting moment for the electronics industry, because at the time that you had companies that were larger organizations that could only afford to use CAD tools to design electronics. And with Altium coming along with a PC-based tool, that sort of opened up the market. And then we saw the progression, into Windows. And what was interesting then was that customers weren't even asking us for Windows products, but we believe that was the future of desktop design. So we're the first company to move to Windows, and then we've had a number of firsts along the way since then. Notably, the integration of all the design processes into one application and one data model, and then more recently the whole merging of 3D and PCB design into the one application, which is quite unique.
Interesting, very interesting. If we were to take that one step further, what are some of the upcoming challenges that a designer may not even be aware of that he needs to have on his radar?
Yeah, look, we see this all the time, and it's from the very basics of spending too much time on what we call non-engineering tasks. I mean, naturally, when you're innovating, or being an entrepreneur or a startup company, you're really trying to disrupt, the way people do things, or what product you bring to market. And a lot of these non-engineering tasks get in the way. And this is anything from trying to source data, to creating library components, to proper documentation, from even simply releasing designs out to the manufacturer. All of these things get in the way of the engineering process, and there's a lot of mistakes that happen. So we try to innovate, or I suppose what we call automate these tasks as much as we can. And we also see this as companies come to us, try to solve their engineering tasks, or try to look for design tools that do a better job. They don't necessarily, they get stuck in their existing ways. They've created different spreadsheets or templates and so forth, but they don't realize that there's actually a better way of doing things. And we try to solve these problems. And it's fascinating to see that we're in 2017 and people are still manually adding all this data to spreadsheets and making lots of mistakes.
Is it simply that they don't know that solutions are available, or is that people don't want to change because it's worked so well for them for so long? Why would somebody do that?
Yeah, I think, look, we see different reasons, right? And I think the biggest reason is that people just get stuck in their process. They only change if there's a fundamental reason. If they've missed a deadline that they just couldn't have missed and has created a major problem in the organization, or the cost of the product is blown out because they're just wrong part choices at the beginning. And until an event like that happens, then they don't really force to go off and find a better solution. Now, some progressive companies are always trying to innovate and change. And that's really cool to see. But to be honest, most companies don't fall into that mold, and they come along and they're looking for better solutions, and they actually come to us looking for maybe better features in the PCB design process, but they don't necessarily look at better ways of managing their data. And it's until we focus them on process change, then they start to see the real benefits. And that was the point I was making before, Rich, was that when the companies moved into Windows and one platform, moving 3D into PCB, these things, our customers take all this for granted now. New customers come along and they're actually amazed at what they see. I suppose seeing is believing in this instance.
So it sounds like a lot of when change does occur, it occurs because an engineer is told to do something, and it's usually for the better, but they sort of come along kicking and screaming?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I suppose there's two sides. There's who's forcing this change. Is it the engineer, the user, who's actually innovating and doing this great stuff, or is it the management coming along and saying you must change the process? And I suppose one of our core strengths at Altium is that we sell or talk directly to the end user. Not only do we listen to the feedback and put it into the product, but we actually we really, I suppose, focus on the end users in terms of when we're providing the tools to them. Mm-hmm. And the other ones that are coming along and saying we need change. I just don't want to do it anymore. There must be a better way.
Interesting. Well, I'm afraid we've used up our 5 minutes, but that's some really good insight into what people either are dealing with today or what they will be dealing with very shortly. That was Matt Schweiger. He is the Vice President of Customer Success at Altium, and I'm Rich Nass with Open Systems Media. Thank you, Matt. Have a great day.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Appreciate your time.